So here I am once again with a double chapter review of Gintama with chapter 624 and 625. And might I say 624 was completely hilarious. I really love the fact that they broke the fourth wall once again. This is Gintama. And basically we have where they were still fighting the Shinra, and we know that Gintoki and Jericho and the rest have history with them previously because of an old arc that happened already. So any of the tactics they use, even if it was group tactics against these characters, was not working. And instead of them instilling fear into the humans, it was the other way around. And they couldn't believe that, because these are the warrior tribe. These are the ones that every single being within the universe fears the most. And then you have humans, earthlings, who are possibly the lowest in the chain of any species, driving them into a corner and just slaughtering them left and right. And it was just so amazing to see that Gintoki and Jericho team up once again to fight these characters. And like the fourth wall that was broken, we had where Katsuo was about to go into his backstory of how he met Jericho, and the Jericho in the flashback saying, do we really have time to be looking into your flashback? Completely debunking the whole, seeing his history and everything. And then like 2 to 3 pages later, we have where Otase had a flashback. No, Jericho had a flashback of when he was in war with Tatsugoro, and when Tatsugoro was at his final moments about to die, in hopes to see what Kabukicho will look like, the city that they love and they want to protect. Hopefully that they grow old together and see who's the newest generations, and will it still be the same, or will it change for the good or for the bad or the worse? So first they debunk it, and then they went back into it, and then at the end of the chapter was really, they ended it very beautifully, where we saw that even though Tatsugoro is not there physically wise, his spirit still remains looking over the city that he loved and wanted to protect, and that he left it in the hands of those he held dear, his wife Otase and his best friend Jericho. And we saw where Otase was just looking back, and she saw, or she probably envisioned, her husband just overlooking the city, and she just has a smile on her face. And it was a really amazing chapter, and it was very hilarious. And I mean, when Gintama spits out all of these hilarious moments and also just like debunks everything that any other series is, like, you can no longer be surprised what other series does anymore at this point, because Gintama has done it all and is still continuing to do it even in its final moments. Now we get into chapter 625, and I know in 624 they basically just say, flat out, who cares about flashbacks and everything, but 625 started with a flashback, and it was a flashback on Ogai. Now this guy is going to die, and you're not going to really care about him because he's the villain and he's trying to hurt, our characters and the place that they're living in and such, along with the Liberation Army. But there was a character we have not seen for hundreds of chapters, and I think the last time we seen him was in that one little episode. I don't know the chapter, but in the episode, it was when Gintoki, Shinpachi, Hishikata, Okita, and Kondo-san went with the Daikini to the spa. That was the last time we seen this character, and I think it was pretty obvious, because we know that Hetero is an Amanto, but we didn't know exactly what type of species he is until possibly this chapter. So he is part of the Daikini race, and of course he's extremely strong, extremely ferocious, and he looks very scary despite his very gentle demeanor. Well, we come to find out, the Daikini, they were born to fight and they live to fight. That's their whole motto, that's their way of living. And that Hetero was part of them until he was infested by some parasite that goes into the brain and just starts changing things up, and hence why he has a flower protruding out his head. So his whole personality, everything about him that probably would seem vicious before he came into the storyline, the current storyline of Gintama, changed him into this complete different character that we know as of today. And he was the one that took off the first horn on Ogai's head. He completely destroyed it, and he turned his back on his brethren years ago. And then he came to Earth and opened up his garden. He became a florist and everything, and we know, of Hetero as of today. So it was very interesting that we saw a little of his background. I never would have thought that Hetero, they would have actually gave importance to his character, but since the introduction of the 3 warrior tribes, and especially the introduction of the Daikini, I believe it was necessary or very important that they brought in Hetero's backstory into this, because then it's going to show how important he is to this particular tribe and what he's going to do now for the rest of the war. As we come to find out, he's been trying to move people to safety. I think he possibly may have done a good job with that, and to make sure nobody got caught up in all the fighting. And might I add, Gintoki went crazy, not crazy as in he was angry like we've seen a few times throughout this series, but it was like a man that just let loose. And then he has a mad grin on his face, and then he's just going in, just beating and killing every single opponent. And the fact that the humans are putting fear into the enemies before them, and it was just really amazing to see how they're just being relentless. And it was just for the first time since the Liberation Army, since the warrior tribes came to Earth, that they are now turning the tides. The humans are turning the tides on them and instilling fear into their opponents, despite how little their army is compared to, their enemies. They're the ones who are, retreating, until Ogai basically said with a shout that, we can't turn back. If you want to run, go ahead and everything. And he basically brought back up their morals and their resolve to defeat the humans. But it was so surprising at the end, where we saw just Hetero just walking past Ogai, and then Ogai bashed him in the head with his club, not knowing this was the same guy that laid him out the first time. And now to realize that, this is the same guy I'm going to have to fight again. This time his flower before did not bloom, but now it has. So this is going to be quite the interesting chapter in chapter 626, and how these two characters' history is going to intertwine once again, now that they're on the battlefield for different reasons, and how this is going to conflict with everybody else as well. So if you guys saw these 2 chapters of Gintama, chapter 624 and 625, do leave a comment down below on how you felt about these 2 chapters. And the links are in the description box as always, so you guys go check that out. And I'm Kimmy Chan of Anime Legends Podcast, and I will see you guys later. Bye!